It all began on a quiet Sunday afternoon in the sleepy town of Willow Creek, the kind of place where nothing dramatic ever seemed to happen. The supermarket hummed with the usual rhythm of life, carts squeaking, scanners beeping, soft chatter floating through the aisles. Everything felt ordinary, too ordinary. No one noticed her at first, the little girl in the bright pink dress, walking hand in hand with a man twice her size. To anyone passing by, they looked like a father and daughter picking up groceries for the week. But if you looked just a bit closer, if you looked into her eyes, something didn't add up. There was no sparkle, no childlike wonder, just a stillness, a tension, like she was screaming for help, but only with her silence. Then came the moment that changed everything. Officer Daniel Hayes, a seasoned cop with 15 years on the force, was off duty that day, just grabbing cereal for his kids. He wasn't supposed to be there, not at that exact moment, but fate has a strange way of placing people where they're needed most. As Daniel scanned the shelves, something flickered in his peripheral vision. A small, quick motion. The girl had raised her hand, not in a wave, but in a deliberate, almost rehearsed way. Her fingers curled in, palm open, held close to her chest. It was subtle, so subtle that most would have missed it. But Daniel didn't, because he knew that sign. He'd learned it just weeks ago in a child rescue seminar, the silent signal for, "Help me." In an instant, his heart began to pound. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a call for help. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the power of simply noticing, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, the narrator's voice urges. Because one small act of awareness can change a life. Daniel's instincts kicked in. He didn't rush, too risky. If he startled the man, the girl could be in even greater danger. So he slowed down, pretending to browse the shelves, keeping them in the corner of his eye. The man's grip on the girl wasn't gentle. His arm was covered in fading tattoos. His cracked watch glinted under the fluorescent lights. Everything about him screamed control, possession. The girl followed quietly, eyes down, her steps small and hesitant. When she dared to glance up, she met Daniel's gaze just for a second, but it was enough. That silent message passed between them again. "Please don't let him take me." Daniel tapped his earpiece, his voice calm but steady. A coded message to dispatch. Possible child abduction in progress. Backup en route. He followed from a distance as they moved toward the back of the store. The man looked over his shoulder twice, suspicion flickering across his face. His pace quickened. The girl seemed to resist ever so slightly, her small steps faltering as if she were trying to buy time. Then, near the freezer aisle, Daniel saw her eyes again, wide, terrified, but now holding a fragile spark of hope. Backup was on its way, but every instinct in Daniel's body screamed that he couldn't wait much longer. Something about the man's movements, tight shoulders, darting eyes, told him he knew that someone had noticed, knew that his time was running out. The next few minutes stretched like hours. Daniel shadowed them past the dairy aisle, weaving between shelves of milk and butter, pretending to browse. Then he saw where they were heading, a side exit, one almost no customers used. His pulse quickened. If the man made it out that door, they could vanish before backup even arrived. Daniel adjusted his stride, closing the gap inch by inch. His boots pressed softly against the tile, careful not to make a sound. He stopped near a towering display of soda cases, pretending to read the labels while keeping his eyes locked on the pair. The man's grip tightened around the girl's tiny arm. She winced, stumbling to keep up. That small, helpless sound, it was enough, and then it happened. Just feet from the exit, the man turned sharply, tugging her faster. That was Daniel's cue. He stepped out from behind the display, his voice calm but commanding. "Police officer." "Sir, don't move," the man froze. The air grew thick, charged with the tension of what could happen next. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Fight, flight, or surrender. Daniel could see the war raging behind the man's eyes. The girl stood trembling between them, her chest rising and falling in quick, frightened bursts. It's a misunderstanding," the man stammered, his voice cracking under the weight of panic. Daniel didn't buy a word of it. He could read guilt like a map, and this man was drenched in it. Just then, Sirens outside, doors bursting open. Backup arrived. Officers swarmed the area with precision. Within seconds, the man was restrained, his desperate protests fading under the sound of handcuffs clicking shut. Daniel moved to the girl immediately. He knelt down, his voice soft now. "You're safe. No one's going to hurt you anymore." At that, the dam finally broke. She didn't speak, just fell into his arms, shaking, silent tears streaking her cheeks. She clung to him like a lifeline, the kind that might never come again. Later, the truth came out. The man wasn't her father, not even close. She'd been taken from a park 2 towns away, missing for 3 long days while her parents searched in agony. What happened in that supermarket wasn't luck. It was a miracle born from one small signal and one person who saw it. The next day, Daniel visited her family. When her mother opened the door and saw him standing there, she didn't speak, she just collapsed into his arms, whispering "thank you" over and over through her tears. Behind her, the little girl peeked out, clutching a worn stuffed bunny. Her eyes met Daniel's again, but this time they weren't pleading. They were calm, safe. She smiled, small, shy, but real. It was her first smile since the day she disappeared. From then on, the story of the girl in the pink dress became a legend in Willow Creek, a reminder that awareness saves lives, that learning even the smallest signal can mean the difference between tragedy and hope. Daniel knew that day wasn't just about doing his duty. It was about hearing a silent cry, the kind most people never notice, and answering it. If this story touched your heart, the narrator says gently, please like, share, and subscribe to Heart of Glorious Stories, because your engagement keeps these moments alive, and one share might teach someone to recognize the sign that saves a life. Before we end, let me ask you something. Would you have noticed that tiny signal? Your answer might just inspire someone else to look a little closer when it matters most.